Welcome, sports fans. How's everyone out in the sports world today? Ramon reviews another chapter of Ramon reviews, and we have a lot to discuss in the sports world. Just so many topics to cover again, so much information out there. It's hard to even keep up. We're going to do the best we can. First of all, we want to say a shout out to Sun Lady. Hope she's doing well, and we definitely wish her all the best. Let's go ahead and get started on topics of discussion. Again, there's so many. We have to narrow it down. So let me get started let's start with Major League Baseball. These are the dog days of summer. Now, you're looking at, this is the summertime. We just had the All-Star game, and it was a pretty competitive All-Star game. But at the same token, I really don't like deciding whoever wins the All-Star game, they have home field advantage for the World Series. I definitely don't think it's fair, because in a lot of cases, the team that wins the All-Star game, might not be the best team in the league. And the best team in the league at the end of the regular season definitely should justify having home field advantage for the World Series. I just don't like maybe they can put up something else, figure out another way in order to determine the game, more than just the typical exhibition game, so the players will play hard and they'll play for a meaningful purpose. But the same token, to have it like it is now to determine a home field for the World Series, I just don't think that's fair. That's not fair, because you play the whole season with home field advantage, and then have it where that's totally out of your hands, totally decided by someone else. That's not. I definitely don't like that. But they'll have to decide on how they want to handle that, which could easily be worked out another time. Let's get into the hometown teams. Let's look at the Dodgers and let's look at the Angels. Well, the Dodgers are hanging in there. They're trying to do the best they can. They've narrowed the lead, the San Francisco Giants, to 4 games. They've had a rash of injuries. However, let me start off, make a preface by saying, look, injuries occur to every team all the time. There's no exceptions. Every team has to go through injuries, some more than others, but that's all part of the game. I don't care what sport you play, what profession, every team has to deal with injuries. So I'm making no excuses for the Dodgers at all. Having said that, their ace, their number one player and borderline Hall of Fame player already, Clayton Kershaw, he's out with a back injury. It's yet to determine to see whether he has to have back surgery or not. But even if he didn't have back surgery, it's a major, major blow for the team. They're hanging in there, but as I've said time and time again, they call them bums for a reason, and chances are the Dodgers are not going to be able to hang in there. They're going to slip sliding down the stretch, and I don't think they're even going to make the playoffs. Years past, they made the playoffs and didn't get past the first round. This year, they're not even going to make the playoffs with their ace. And not only that, if Kershaw, yet you determine how severe that back injury is. This could be really serious in the sense that either they might consider trading Kershaw, or it could be even worse. I mean, you don't know how bad that injury is. Whenever they start cutting on your back, I don't know of anyone that they've actually cut on their back and really had any type of significant injury and they've come back better. Most of the time, it's a significant decline, and it's normally swift and fast. I mean, going from Larry Bird to whoever, knee injuries are bad, but back injuries are just something, especially for a pitcher. So he's had a stellar career up to this point, except for in the playoffs. He's been a woeful disappointment. And without him in your lineup, he's your ace. He's definitely head and shoulders your ace. Without him, the Dodgers are in big trouble. They were in big trouble with him, but without him, I don't think they have a chance. They're hanging in there, but eventually the cream's going to rise to the top, and the Giants they still have a 4-game lead on them, and it's going into, like I say, we're already in the dog days. It's going into the latter part of the season, and the Dodgers are in trouble. So the Dodgers are probably not going to make the playoffs this year, and with that high payroll, it'll be another disappointing season for the Dodgers. And this one will be different than the rest, because for so many seasons in the past, you've had the great Vince Scully, arguably the greatest broadcaster of all times. He's made it official. This will be his final season. And the Dodgers will love nothing more than to give him a World Series championship ring to go off in the sunset in his retirement. That's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, the Dodgers are not even going to make the playoffs. So brace yourself, Dodger fans. It's going to be another long season. And considering the fact that you have a new manager will definitely give you a little bit more rope to hang themselves, but the same token, it's going to be the same old story with the Dodgers coming up short. And it's really disappointing because, like I say, this is Vin Scully's last season, and the Dodgers wanted nothing more than the dude, and they gave the great Vin Scully a championship, at least make it to the playoffs, if not a championship trophy, and that's not going to happen. And let's go down the freeway to the Angels, and let's look at their situation. They have one of the highest payrolls in the game, and a woeful, disappointing season already. They're, at least for the Dodgers, they're in second place in their division. You look at the Angels. The Angels are in dead last in the AL West, dead last, which is pathetic. They have one of the highest payrolls in the game. Albert Pujols has been a major disappointment from the moment he signed with the team. They signed Hamilton. A few years back, and that was a major disappointment, and they're still paying for that, So you look at the fact that the Angels, they have Trout's a very good player, and they're trying to revolve the team around him. But Pujols is a bunch of dead weight and a huge salary cap hit, and just money just thrown away. They're just killing the team. Now someone's gonna have to pay for that, and that's probably gonna be Sosa. I think so. This might be Sosa's last year. Someone's gonna have to pay for the situation. And they're dead last, and there's no excuses for that. So we'll see how it turns out. The season's not over with yet, but the Angels are in big time trouble. They have Weaver as the ace, and he's probably mediocre at best. He'd probably be a third start on someone's on a top-notch team. And so the Angels are in trouble. And I feel sorry for them because they have a lot of diehard fans down there in Orange County, Anaheim. But we'll see what happens. But those are my predictions. And let's get around to some of the rest of the teams in the major leagues. Cleveland's looking pretty good so far. The Cubbies are trying to hang in there. That's going to be tough for them to do, but they're positioning themselves for a long pennant stretch run. So we'll see whether the Cubs can hang in there and do what they started at the beginning of the season. Baltimore looks good right now. Washington is, I don't know what to say. That Strasburg, he's a nice pitcher. He's done well so far, but he's had some injuries, and they can get to him. Let's see what he does in the rest of the remaining part of the season and possibly into the playoffs. So we'll see how it turns out for Major League Baseball. And again, this is August. You have until late September, and we'll see how that goes. Let's hopscotch around to some other topics as well. I want to touch upon Pat Summitt. Some of the people who are no longer with us and have definitely had a major impact on sports altogether. Pat Summitt was the Hall of Fame coach for the Tennessee Volunteers. So far as the women's sports and the sports in general, I think she was a trailblazer, and she did an excellent job of bringing light, bringing importance to the sport. The Title IX and all of that, but even before that, she was very important and very instrumental in bringing a lot of attention to women's sports, and particularly basketball. And I think she deserves to get a lot of credit for that. And Connecticut's doing a great job now, but Pat Summitt's the one who really was a trailblazer for that. And speaking of women's basketball, the LA Sparks are having a nice season. Let's not forget about them, the WNBA. They're in their 20th season. That's saying a lot. And give credit to the LA Sparks. They're having the best season they've had in years. Have they won a championship? No, they haven't. But the same token, as we speak right now, they have the best record in the WNBA, and that's saying a lot. And we'll see how they can hold on to that, and then we'll see what happens, come playoff time. So we'll go ahead and that's for the WNBA. But let's go to some other people who are no longer with us now, who are very instrumental in the world of sports. Denny Green just passed, the former coach of the Minnesota Vikings. He is very instrumental in, for coaches, particularly African American coaches. He definitely did a lot of trailblazing, and he had a very successful career. You had Buddy Ryan, who's the father of the 46 defense for the Chicago Bears when they had their great run in '85, '86. The 86 Super Bowl, 85 Bears. They're one of the best teams of all time. Definitely one of the best defense of all time. He's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Buddy Ryan. Then, of course, you had the great Nate Thurman. A lot of people not aware of Nate Thurman, but he was a great ball player in the 60s and 70s. He played for the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ironic, both those teams played in the World Championship this year, the NBA Championship. He was one of the greatest rebounders and defenders of all time. As a matter of fact, the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's arguably the greatest player to ever play the game, he says that Nate Thurman was the player who bothered him the most. He was the number one player who affected him. The most difficult player to play against was Nate Thurman. That definitely spoke volumes to me, to hear that he, out of all the players he's ever played, he ranks Nate Thurman up there as number one, as the most difficult player to play against. That definitely says a lot. He just died recently of cancer. Rest in peace, Nate Thurman. On that note, I guess I'll go ahead and take a break, and I'll be back with you in just a minute. Welcome back, sports fans. Yes, a lot of other topics of discussion I'd like to mention to the people out there in the world of sports. Just so many topics to discuss, so many issues to discuss, and I guess we'll start out now with talking about training camps for the NFL. All the training camps are going to be open by the end of next week. I would say by the 30th, by July the 30th, all the major camps will be open. That's saying a lot, because when the training camps open, that's when the play starts for real. Now they have to really get serious about the long summer, basically over for the football players, spring practice, the OTAs, all of that. Now it's time to really get serious about playing football. You have a lot of teams. This is a time of great optimism. You have so many teams out there who believe everybody's on an equal playing field. Everybody has an equal chance, to actually win that Super Bowl trophy, the Vince Lombardi trophy. You have a lot of predictions out there. A lot of people are thinking this, that, and the other. I mean, we're here in Los Angeles, just so happy that we have a football team. We might get 2 or 3 down the road, but as we speak right now, we have one team that has been here before, which is fantastic, which is the Rams. They're opening up their camp next week as well. And of course, they had the number 1 pick in the draft. That's definitely saying a lot. They were expecting a lot from them. And I think they might be putting too much pressure on the youngsters too soon, but that remains to be seen. But having said that, they have a strong defense. They have a strong running attack, a nice offensive line. I think the Rams will fare well, this season. But it all starts next week in terms of staying healthy, in terms of running their plays and making sure they play as hard as they can, because they're going to have a huge fan base of enthusiastic fans right here in Los Angeles. Saying that, you always have situations that pop up in the NFL, and one I want to mention in particular, you have with the Dallas Cowboys. They just had their very high number 1 pick in the draft, with your running back, Elliott. He went to Ohio State, one of the top players there, one of the top running backs. He's a national championship winner. And the Dallas Cowboys invested a lot of time, money, and effort in this player, and it seems like he's had some off-the-field issues already. Now, he hasn't even started training camp yet. He's barely turned 21. Now, he's embroiled in all types of domestic violence issues, from what I understand. That's one thing after another. Players have to understand that they have to watch what they do on and off the field. Even if they know that they're not in a situation, they have to try to keep themselves out of those types of situations and lean towards being in situations like that. Now, whether he's right or wrong or different, what happens is his name is out in the public, his name is in the media, his name is going to be dragged through the mud. And even if the Dallas Cowboys decide they want to cut ties with him, that's a major distraction. They already have a distraction before training camp even starts. That's major, because now they have to decide what they're going to do with him. They have to decide whether they want to go in another direction, whether they want to keep him. Obviously, they thought highly of him to make him their very high number 1 pick. Rarely do they go that high for a running back, but they decided he was certainly worth it. Now, if he don't pan out or something happens with that puts the team in the turmoil and the tailspin. And Jerry Jones, that's the last thing Jerry Jones wants from any of his players, especially one that's a young 21-year-old rookie who hasn't even touched the playing field yet. So for all those rookies out there, just the players in general, just professional athletes, just people in general, you just have to make sure you hang around, watch the surroundings, watch the people that you keep time with, because in the long run, it can certainly benefit you a great deal to make sure that you stay abreast on that. Now, back to the NFL, I would say my prediction would be probably, I think the New England Patriots are going to start out slow because Brady decided to drop the appeal, and he decided to go ahead and serve his 4-game suspension for Deflategate. I feel as though he certainly knew what he was doing. I feel as though the New England Patriots have been doing things for years. They've been caught time and time again. They continue to cheat, and eventually they're really going to catch it. But, they decided for right now, for Tom Brady, 4-game suspension, he's going to go ahead and serve that. So they might start out the gate slow, but they might pick up the pace considering they're kind of in a weak division right now. So I think they're going to start out. They're going to start out slow, and probably maybe. I don't know. Probably maybe Carolina again. I don't know. I have to really look at it closely look at these camps closely to see who's really going to go ahead and stand head and shoulders above the rest. Maybe Pete Carroll might bounce back, or the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say because it's very early. But I'll definitely keep you posted on subsequent episodes as to how the NFL is going to pan out down the road. But let's jump around to some other topics. Let's say the Olympics, which is very important to so many people around the world. They're coming up, and they'll be in another couple of weeks. So that's very important to people around the world. But from what I understand, Rio de Janeiro, they have a lot of issues down there that a lot of people wish they don't have to deal with, not only with athletes who are going to participate, but for tourists and tourism as well. I mean, that's a huge part of any Olympic Games. The tourists coming in and all the revenue that they're bringing in, and they want to feel safe. And in a lot of respects, they're saying that a lot of the police officers are saying down there, with certain tourists don't show up in certain parts of the country, certain parts of certain towns, because they can't even guarantee their safety. That's just from a safety standpoint. Now, from a health standpoint, you're talking about a lot of health issues that's going on down there. It seemed like they might want to relocate the game. Maybe it was too late to do it. I know it would have been a tremendous, difficulty in terms of moving the game somewhere else or postponing it, doing what they had to do. But it seemed like there's a lot of problems that, going into the games that we haven't had to deal with in recent memory. Maybe it all able to wash under the rug. Maybe things work out. I hope so, but it's not looking too good right now. The game's only a few weeks away. A lot of the players are pulling out. They're deciding for one reason or another, not only due to the virus, but due to their safety, saying that, they really want to reconsider and not even partake in the Olympics, which is, one of the most important events, around the world, So that's very important. That's sending red flags and your antennas up everywhere. If our top athletes don't want to go, then then for the Russian team, they've been caught doping in terms of, taking steroids and all types of human growth hormones. And I'm saying that's another issue entirely upon itself. And now we want to compete against the best, but you have the Russian team that, they're pretty much banned from the Olympics. You might have a few athletes here and there that might participate, but for the most part, their team is going to be banned from the Olympics. So there goes a lot of your top-notch athletes. So even if we win, we aren't playing against the best. I mean, that takes a lot of the Olympics in itself. And of course, like I said, the virus is pretty widespread down there. That's taking away a lot of the enthusiasm as well. But having said that, I got a chance to watch the American team, the basketball team, and they look, they definitely look strong. I don't know about the inside presence. We know Boogie Cousins, certainly he's legitimate. We got DeAndre Jordan down there. I got to question his his offensive prowess, and on top of that, I don't even want to mention his free throw shooting. But the team looks decent, and we have good leadership, and we should certainly win another gold medal. But I know it's premature. But at the same token, I think the players, what I've seen about the practice in Vegas and a couple of the exhibition games, they look very strong. And I expect for the United States to win another gold medal, which is nice. They need to change the format, though. We don't need to continue to see the pros going down there like that. Or if most, maybe a second-year pro would be the oldest, and then some sprinkled with the top-notch college players. I think that's probably the way it should go. But having mentioned basketball, someone had mentioned to me the other day about Mount Rushmore of like if you had your top Mount Rushmore, like if you had your top 4 players in NBA history, as well as your top 4 players for the LA Lakers, with LA Laker history. And in my opinion, the way I would rank it is, I would have to say my Mount Rushmore for the NBA greatest players of all times, I would have to go, number 1, I would have to go with Will Chamberlain for a lot of different reasons. I think that if he was concerned about the scoring record and the rebounding record and so many other records, field goal percentage, he could have put those records out of sight. I mean, he dominated so much. He actually led the league in assists one year, and for a center, that's unheard of. He shot one year over 70% from the field. He averaged one year over 50 points a game. He scored over 100 points a game, which he could have done that several times. But several times, when Kobe Bryant hit for 81, Will Chamberlain could have scored 100 points on numerous occasions. When he went to the Lakers didn't even want him to score. They wanted him just to concentrate on rebounding and defense, and that was the first championship that they brought to LA, and he was the MVP of the playoffs that year, 71-72, against the New York Knicks. I would have to go number 1 with him. I would have to put Michael Jordan on there. I would have to put Michael Jordan on there because Michael Jordan's so phenomenal. There were so many things he could do. I mean, he down the stretch when he retired, he won 3 championships in a row. He left for a year and a half. He came back, won 3 more. Probably could have won more than that as he retired. I mean, he was head and shoulders above the rest. He was the only player that I saw. When I saw him next to Magic Johnson definitely had to take a back seat. So this guy, he's actually better than me. I mean, he's better than me in all counts, all fronts. I mean, Magic's one of the greatest players of all time, but you could tell Jordan was just head and shoulders above him. And even Magic's prime, Air Jordan would have outclassed him. He would just been better than him in every respect. So I have to go with Michael Jordan. Now the third one I would have to go with the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, he's a winner in all fronts. He's won 6 NBA championships, and he's another one who easily could have scored 40, 50 points a game, but it was like he didn't even want to do that. I mean, I think he averaged over his career 25 points a game, something like that, but he easily could have scored 40 points a game if that's what he wanted. I saw so many times with Kareem pass the ball underneath the basket, he wouldn't even shoot the ball. He passed the ball, make sure his teammates got involved. We see that he won 6 championships. He went to the championship, I believe. He was in the NBA championship like 10 times in his illustrious career. Never mind the fact he won 3 national championships with UCLA, and of course he was MVP the NCAA tournament 3 years in a row. He won 6 NBA championships. He won 6 MVPs. No one else has done that. You look at the fact that he's won scoring titles. We won the rebounding title, and on top of that, he took 2 franchises. He's won championships with 2 franchises. Very few people could actually say that. LeBron James has just done that with Milwaukee and Cleveland. But the great Abdul-Jabbar, he's Miami. He has to Miami and Cleveland. Yeah, Miami and Cleveland. Yeah, right. Miami and Cleveland, right. But he's one of the very few that have done that. And I'm not talking about someone riding the bench or someone who's just also ran. I'm talking about an integral part of the most important player on that team. Kareem did it with Milwaukee in 70-71 with the great Oscar Robertson. And then, of course, Kareem did it several times with the LA Lakers. And then, last but not least, I might have to go with I might have to go with the great Magic Johnson. I mean, the great Magic Johnson. He when you watch that game in 1980, 79-80 season, it was Game 6 of the NBA championship against the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 6. Before the game, he had told, I vividly remember where he told a lot of sportscasters, sports writers, that he's played center before and he could play center. And he kind of like smirked at him and laughed at him and almost like kind of made fun of him, say, there's no way in the world you guys are going to win without Kareem. Maybe you keep it close. And they had a Game 7 back here in Los Angeles. So they said, okay, they'll go ahead and try to keep it close, and then from there, come back to LA and win again. You possibly have a chance if Kareem could make it. He sprung his ankle in Game 5. And Magic Johnson told anyone who wanted to listen that he played center and he could play all 5 positions, and they weren't coming back here to LA. They wanted to come back here to LA with the championship trophy, not to come back to play for the trophy, to come back and have the trophy in hand. And sure enough, if anyone's interested in watching a great NBA player, an NBA team, you can look at that Game 6 of 1980 against the Philadelphia 76ers, and the most important game of the season. He had his best game of his career, basically. In my opinion, the best game of his career. He did it all. I mean, not only did it all, he totally dominated the game, and he was only a 19-year-old rookie at the time. And that set the standard of him being a superstar and one of the greatest players to ever play. He, even more than the great Jabbar, even more than the great Will Chamberlain, and so many others, Magic Johnson could grab the rebound, dribble it down the court, and either hit someone with no-look passes that you didn't even see coming, or he could take it to the hole himself. Magic's another one who could easily score 50 points a game if that's what he wanted to do. But it seemed like he was so enthusiastic in how he did. He was a winner across the board. Needless to say, he won a national championship in the 1979 season, with the Michigan State Spartans. Magic Johnson could do it all. I mean, a tremendous rebounder. He wasn't the best outside shooter, but he definitely improved his skills and improved on the skills and skill set every year he was in the league. I mean, just a winner. He was in the championship 9 years, I believe, something like that, of his illustrious career, and he was definitely cut short. I mean, Magic probably had at least another 6, 7 solid years before he got stricken with the HIV disease. I mean, that was tragic to everyone. And I really feel sorry for him. But he looks great now. I mean, he looks like he's in very good spirits, and certainly we're so happy to have him here. He looks definitely healthy and solid, which is wonderful. But my Mount Rushmore, I have to repeat it again. We're looking at the great Will Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I have to go with the great Magic Johnson. Magic could do it all. I mean, with having him half the time, Magic could grab that rebound, the fast break, kick the ball out to Worthy or Scott or Wilkes or whoever. I mean, they're scoring the ball before Kareem even get past half court. Kareem would stop at half court and turn right back around and go back down to play defense. They had already scored. And such a leader and a winner and doing it with enthusiasm and class and grace. I mean, hard pressed, he's got to be on the top 4. I will take a break and then I'll come back in a minute and then we'll discuss the Lakers Mount Rushmore. Thank you. Welcome back, sports fans. Yes, before I left the break, I was giving you my Mount Rushmore of the NBA, the top players of all times, the top 4. Again, I reiterate by saying the great Will Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then of course the great Magic Johnson. All of those have to be. And there was certainly others that were very close, like the great Oscar Robertson. There were some others there too. But that's if I had to name 4, it's my 4 for the NBA. Now, for the Lakers organization, which is arguably one of the greatest organizations in professional sports, or at least it used to be, definitely one of the top 2 in the NBA, if not the top organization in the NBA. I would have to start out with saying, it's a little bit different than the NBA, because the NBA, you're looking at players throughout their entire careers. With the Lakers, we're looking at players who pretty much for Laker years. I'm going to have to go with Elgin Baylor. 1, 2, I would have to go with George Mikan. Let's not forget about him. I mean, he was definitely the first dominant big man, and he certainly set the records at his time. And he was, that Mike and hook shot. A lot of people don't know, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he mimicked that for years and years and years, and was able to develop his sky hook off of that. And Mike was one of the best big men, if not the most dominant big man in his day, and certainly won championships for the Lakers. That's two. Three, of course, the great Magic Johnson. He has to be right there. If not the number one, he's definitely in the top four. There's no way you can leave him off the list. And then last but not least, I had to struggle with this, but I might, personally, I have to go with, I'm going to go with Will Chamberlain. Although you can make a strong case for Jerry West, because Jerry West played his entire career with the Lakers. And we know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he had a tremendous career with the LA Lakers. But Will Chamberlain, I mean, he was so dominant. Again, they suppressed a lot of his scoring prowess because they wanted to keep team chemistry and continuity. They knew he could dominate anytime he wanted to, and the Lakers did not win a championship in Los Angeles until he got with the team. I mean, the Lakers with Chamberlain, with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, they tried several times to beat the Celtics and just couldn't get the job done. And of course the Knicks as well, but with the great Will Chamberlain, when he came on board, they finally won their first championship in Los Angeles. And he was definitely the MVP of that championship series. And on top of that, he did it on bad knees, and he definitely wasn't even trying to score much, because he easily could have dominated in the scoring prowess as well. But bottom line is he brought home the bacon, he brought home the championship to the Lakers, and I have to go ahead and put him. So to reiterate, my Mount Rushmore for the Los Angeles Lakers would be Elgin Baylor, 1, 2, Mike, and 3, the great Magic Johnson. 4 is Will Chamberlain. But you know what? I don't see how I can put Will Chamberlain over Kareem. I don't see how I can put, you know what? I might have to change it. I might have to, boy, that's real tough. I mean, I like to go 1 and 1A. I had to split it up if I have to. I guess that's, yeah. I guess if I have to, I got to just go with one. I'm going to go with Chamberlain. But I don't see how I can leave Kareem off the list. You know what? Well, in that case, I got to put Kareem in and take Mike out. So let's go with Kareem. Let's go with Elgin Baylor, Elgin Baylor, the great Magic Johnson, and Will Chamberlain. And those are my 4 for Mount Rushmore for the LA Lakers. Now let's go into some other topics in the world of sports. Again, so many things out there. We're embarking on, we said, the dog days of summer for baseball, but that leads right into the college football season. And, you have very high expectations here in Los Angeles. We have a huge game for USC, which is the Pac-12 versus arguably one of the top teams in the Pac-12 versus the national champions and probably the number 1 rated Crimson Tide of Alabama. They're going to play in Jerry Jones World in Dallas, September the 3rd, I believe. That's going to be that's definitely going to be a huge game on the college football landscape. And it's very important for both teams to get off to a good start, especially for USC. You're looking at Alabama. I mean, either way, if Alabama loses, they have a chance to still win it. They can 1 loss, possibly 2. They can still be in the national championship hunt. So far as for the Trojans, depending on where they're ranked at the beginning of the season, if they lose and lose bad, they can drop down pretty deep, and they might not even have a chance to really fight for a national championship or make it to the playoffs. They've already had Pac-12 Media Day, and USC they were voted as second in the Pac-12 South. So right behind UCLA. UCLA is expected they were voted to win the Pac-12 South. So we'll see what happens this year. Again, I'm very disappointed with my Bruins. The athletic director definitely needs to go. I'm not really satisfied with the coach more. There's a lot of hype there. We haven't really won much. We've been mediocre at best. Now it's time for us to really put up a show this year. Especially, we just starting out right to shoot against the SEC team, Texas A&M. That's very important because we're definitely going to need not only a strong showing, but a win. We must win that game. So for starters, you have a playoff system now. We have everything you need, for a major powerhouse in the nation, and there's no reason why UCLA shouldn't be right there. We should win the Pac-12 South. We should win the championship of the Pac-12, and the winner of the Pac-12 will probably end up in one of the top 4 playoff spots for a national championship. And it's definitely time. The Bruin fans have been long suffering. We've had coach after coach, AD after AD. Now it's time for us to really go ahead and produce and exceed expectations. Not, be satisfied with what we have, but exceed expectations. So we're going right into the 12th man, beginning of the season against Texas A&M, and that's going to be a big game. They're known for their offense, not really too much defense, even though defense is a little bit better now. But for Bruin fans, supposedly we have arguably, if not the top quarterback in the country, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, Josh Rosen. So we'll see how he produces. We have a head coach who's supposed to be constantly knocking on the door for an NFL job or another top-notch Division I job. He can leave tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. He hasn't done much for us. Newheiser has done just as well, even better, with giving the resources and not many players being injured and this, that, and the other. It's time for the Bruins to go ahead and they rise to the top where they should be. And if not, major changes need to be made. And so far as the Trojans, high expectations there now with the new AD, the new head coach, another head coach. The Trojans haven't been the same since Pete Carroll left in the middle of the night saying he wasn't going to take another job. That USC job was his dream job, and he would never work another job again. And now all of a sudden, next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, here he is working for Seattle Seahawks and been up there ever since. Now, what's the ironic thing is they come back with, the twist of fate. The Seahawks are going to play, in the same division as the Rams, and the Rams play the Seahawks 2 times, per year, and he's going to have to play one of the games back in the Coliseum. Although, like Pete Carroll still has a lot of fans that still love him from USC. A lot of people still don't like the way he handled the situation, but the Reggie Bush situation and left the program in a state of turmoil. He had a lot to do with that. He knew a lot more than what he claimed he didn't know. But, that's another story, another time. We'll pick that up then. And so, I would say is so many topics out there. I guess we're going to go ahead and pretty much end it for right now. But thank you, sports fans, for spending some more time with me. And until next time, until the next episode, have a nice weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.